I was just absolutely devastated. I just walked out of the unit crying.
I was quite worried about her, where she'd gone to, because she was crying and in an area we didn't really know. But I couldn't go after her because we had 2 children still at the house. I was born in a little village just outside Liverpool called Formby, and grew up there, involved in church in the normal way as a child, and got involved with Young Christian Workers, which again was quite deeply involved with the church.
We were brought up in our faith. We were introduced to Jesus by Mum. We did a lot of work in youth groups and things like that. I was in YCW in Manchester.
In 1963, Young Christian Workers had a big gathering, a bit like World Youth Day, but in Strasbourg.
We contacted them and I went up on the train on my own and visited this group of young people. David was there and he offered to take me to the station on the way home.
And during the holiday, we just knew we were committed to each other.
It was while we were on the holiday that we decided we wanted to live together for the rest of our lives.
We got married in the church. That was quite a very precious moment. We didn't have a honeymoon because we didn't have any money. We'd actually moved to Wigan, which was halfway between Manchester and Formby.
We were in a little house in Wigan and we were very lucky to have that. And lots of couples, when they first got married, went into rented accommodation, but we had our own home, or at least we and the bank had our own home. Our children came pretty quickly. Been married just over 12 months when Simon arrived, and 15 months later Caroline came. And life was good.
When we were living in Wigan and after Simon was born, we started fostering children. And we had quite a number of short-term little ones and we had some longer-term ones. And that was really, well, we really liked doing it, but it was a challenge because it meant more work and Cecilia wasn't actively employed in the workforce, but she did very busily at home and was involved in the local community and looking after the foster kids. So that was really, it was a busy time. I was actually working on the tools then as a tradesman and or an apprentice. I took up taxi driving at the weekend. So I'd come home Friday, go taxi driving all night, have a bit of a sleep in, which was a struggle with all the kids. And then on Saturday night, I'd go probably from 7 o'clock at night right through till 1 o'clock in the morning, driving again. Then we'd be up for Sunday, go to church and do our play and all, with the kids and all those sorts of things. And then evening again, I'd be doing taxi driving till about midnight before going to work again on the Monday.
One time we were broken into when he was out at work and I was asleep with the 2 kids and didn't have a clue. We'd had somebody through the house.
At one time, Celia I'd come in the evening about 1 o'clock and seen all the groceries spread out on the stairs. And I thought, oh well, she must have been doing something. And I went to bed. And then in the morning, Celia came down and saw all the groceries spread on the stairs. What was he looking for? And then when I woke up, she said, what were you looking for on the stairs? And we realised then that somebody had actually been in the house while she was asleep and the kids were asleep, and gone through all the groceries, obviously looking for her purse. They'd done about 3 or 4 houses in the neighbourhood. They didn't find anything because we didn't have anything. But that's the way it was.
We came to Australia in December 1973. We'd been married about 5 years by then, and we had 2 children. And it seemed like an opportunity to have an adventure.
Once I had a job, I got approval from the Australian government, and we were at the end of what was called the £10 POMs. So it cost the 2 adults £10 each, and the children were free. So quite a bargain. And we ended up living on the north shore of Sydney, which even then was quite well above our means because we were just renting there.
When we were in Sydney, we actually put a deposit on a house in Eastwood, and it was one of those owner-financed things, and it was fully furnished. And it was ideal. It had a granny flat, and we had to pay the owner back within 10 years. So it was a big amount to pay back in 10 years, but it did have a granny flat, and it was near the university in Sydney. So we thought if we rented that out and just stayed in the little house while everybody was small, we could manage that. So we put our deposit down, and we went in on Thursday, or we phoned up the solicitor on the Thursday to sign the papers, and they told us somebody had signed the papers 24 hours previously. And it meant the real estate agent had taken 2 deposits, which we didn't know about. And so we lost that, and I was just absolutely devastated. I didn't blame David, but I just walked out of the unit and walked. I cried and walked. I just wanted home again. We were in units and it didn't feel like home.
She went walking. It was night time when we got to know, and she went off walking, and I was quite worried about her, where she'd gone to, because she was crying and in an area we didn't really know. But I couldn't go after her because we had 2 children still at the house. Anyway, she came back, and we prayed about it, and that's where we really decided we didn't want to be in Sydney. We would have had to have lived way out of town, which would have meant a lot of travelling. And so we pushed to come to Brisbane.
We had 2 other children born here in Brisbane, and it was never easy. We were always looking as to how we would pay the next bill or the school fees or whatever.
We still attended church. We're still strong believers in our faith.
On the Sunday at church, there was a message: if you've got a good marriage and you want to make it better, come along on Tuesday night. We weren't able to go together because we had the children, and we have no family in Sydney at all. And so I went on the Tuesday night, and the couples were all very enthusiastic, and I didn't think we were able to do it. And the couples that were there was actually 3 of them wanted to look after our children. So I went home and I told David, and he said words to the effect of, "Don't be stupid, how can we do something like that?"
We couldn't do that, yeah.
And I said, "But these couples said they'll look after the children." And he said, "Well, not really happy about that either." We decided to give it a go.
Give it a risk, yeah.
And so we went on the Friday night.
Some people, the weekend is like a great, wow, it's an epiphany experience. And that's great. For us, it's been
It was a confirming.
a rolling thing, it's, we got when we got married and we had the kids and then we had moved to Australia, it's just an incremental growth. And then we did Teams of Our Lady and various things, been incremental rather than a big, wow. Yeah. And that's,
And I mean,
everybody has it different.
You can't say how precious this movement has been to us in our life. It has given us so much. It has supported us through all different things in life that could be quite devastating. We talked about holding hands when you're arguing. If you're holding hands, you can't argue. If you've got that touch, it takes...
Diffuses everything.
Takes conflict away. So if you've got to have a fight, hold hands and fight. And, oh, right, it just takes whatever it is away. As a couple, we've always connected. I would stand on the veranda here and wave to David going to work. If he goes out now, I always go out and see him off. It's just, we just enjoy being together. When David retired, it wasn't, oh dear, what will I do with him? He'd be under my feet, he'd be a nuisance. I just enjoy having David about.
We just always had this sense of, being together. There'd be times when I'd be coming out from work, even at the parks around here, and Celia'd say, oh, we're in the park. And I'd go over and, and the kids would run over and say, hi, Dad, how are you going? Sort of stuff. And Celia would be smiling at the fact.
And I'd be running behind them.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't want to make it sound like it's all Pollyanna stuff. I mean, there was a lot of hard work in keeping the money up to doing the things and looking after the kids. And there were occasional times when we did have disagreements about how to discipline the kids, where we should spend our money, those sorts of things. But we used to
work it out.
Yeah.
It was never really a big issue.
Yeah.
Disciplining the children was probably the hardest because
we had different.
I didn't believe in you wait while Daddy comes home. I had to sort it out then. Daddy had to be somebody special who came home for me. That it wasn't going to be this big ogre who did the disciplining when he came home from work because I said so-and-so wasn't doing the right thing and didn't do this and didn't do that. Those things were sorted out
at the time.
When it happened. That's when you that's when you do discipline, not 4 hours later when Daddy comes home. It's sort of, and so, I took on that thing. I didn't think that was a fair thing
for
to
Dad.
do. That, it's not fair if he's out all day and then he has to come in and tell them all off. He has to come in and enjoy them, and then I can enjoy them too. It's sort of.
And I'd come home and then I'd have a play with the kids.
But it always helped me in the kitchen and helped finish a meal off. I mean, I didn't have to have the dinner on when he walked in.
I do bath the kids or play with the kids while Celia was finishing off something, or it's like a teamwork.
We did it together. Yeah. We always have done. Everything's been.
If the bin needed taken out, well, whoever happened to spot it and
would take
it out. Yeah, we didn't have a rigid.
We always prayed together, but we would pray at Mass on Sunday. We sat together at Mass and things like that. We weren't bookends to the children. We actually sat in the middle and the children were either side of us, that kind of thing. And we all went at Mass together. But we also started to pray morning we prayed with the children going to bed, but we prayed with each other. And as time's gone on and our circumstances have changed, we pray for an hour every morning before we do anything. That's the first thing we do every morning.
Even when we're out in the caravan, we find a spot in the sun and do our prayers.
We say our prayers, and it's just, we have a routine. We do the prayers of the day for the church's prayers of the day, and then we actually do the office, the morning office, and then we have 20 minutes silent meditation.
We would always go camping. Camping was our holidays, and I think their faith has been something, a cornerstone or the bedrock of their marriage and our upbringing. And even when we would go camping, the first thing we would do before we'd set up tent or would be find the local church, make sure there was one so they knew where it was before we found our place to sit down or set up. So faith has been something that's been, all of us show our faith differently, but we all have strong faith and strong ties to our faith. And I think that's a testament to Mum and Dad.
What I would like to see couples, and what's helped us survive, is that thing about holding hands when you've got a disagreement. Hold hands, look at each other in the eye, and just realise the issue is really not that important.
Nothing's worth the relationship.
No,
absolutely.
You can get over the issue as long as you can look each other in the eye, hold hands, and then give each other a hug. The rest is you can resolve it. If you look into each other's eyes, you actually see the person. And if
there's hurt there, you see it.
Yeah, so you can just back off and go, hey, sorry.
Or go closer and give a cuddle.
Yeah, but you can back off whatever it is, you know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. You know, have a hug, and then you can talk about it.
The writing about it gets it out. If you're trying to have an argument, you're too busy
thinking ahead,
thinking your comeback, thinking your next line. Well, I'll counteract that with this, you know. Whereas if you sat and written about it, it's there. And if you write about it, and that's how I feel, not what you made me feel, it's how I feel. Because nobody can make you feel anything. It's how you feel yourself. So if I've written it down, and David's written down what's happening for him, and then we can look at it and you think, is that what's happening? And basically, most of the time, you're on the same page. You're just expressing it differently.
But I can write down on whatever it is we choose to write down on, and then that's a gift to Cecilia.
It's a gift of him.
It's my gift of
where
me.
he's at right now.
Yeah, and then we take time just to
talk about that.
About that. The last bit from a psalm, and it says, "The love that we have wasted, O God of love, renew." For me, that's a very powerful.
Are you searching for fulfillment? Discover true happiness. Stay tuned to Shalom World.